We got a big hole right here. I need to fix that. Next on Auto Momenti Garage. Okay, so I have a new phone and I hit the wrong button. I was going to show you my awesome cuts that I just did for my floor pan that I'm putting in right now. So let's go take a look and see what's going on. Basically, this was just as bad as the passenger side, only maybe a little bit worse. And the reason of that is because not only did they lay down an old crappy piece of metal that was very thin and just got eaten through right away, but they put in a piece of fiberglass right here, and I don't know how they poured that in there, but it was actually molded to the ribs on the bottom, which is pretty incredible, and made for a big mess when I dug the grinder into it. So it's a big powdery globs of goo everywhere and on my skin, and we all know how fiberglass reacts to your skin. But what I ended up doing was there was no metal right here, so I grabbed a strip, welded this in. The other thing that I've got going on up here is my emergency brake, where the emergency brake bracket is. It's very, very crunchy. Again, a lot of these fixes are temporary, meaning that only meant to last for a couple of years before I get this thing and completely take it off the frame at some point in time. But I want to be able to drive it around. But I'm not going to be able to drive it around if I can't apply the parking brake. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but it is. Every time I would depress it, I could hear it crunching and ripping out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of metal, a long strip of metal, probably about 4 inches wide, and I'm going to put it on top of everything else, and it's going to run all the way back up there. That's going to be kind of my support for that, so it doesn't punch out of the firewall. So all you kids out there who think math is not important, it's very important, even though you're distance learning. Okay, so we've got from where the bin needs to take place. So we got what? Alright, so we have 18.5 inches from here to here, approximately 4 inches from here to up there, and then this is all just extra, whatever is going to be. I think I counted in 6 inches. Okay, this is my 30-inch Harbor Freight brake. It's not bad. It's pretty good at doing some bends and small metal, which is great. I love it. But it kind of struggles with 30 inches. You know, if you try to put a full 30 inches into this brake, it kind of struggles with it, especially the 18 gauge. You really have to clamp the bejesus out of it. I usually put about 4 C-clamps on there and just get them super, super tight, and sometimes that doesn't even help. So we're going to see how this works with, luckily I'm at 20 gauge with this, so you know, obviously it's a little bit thinner, and we're going to see how this works out, but this is 30 inches wide, so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Okay, let's find 4 inches from the side. Okay, right in here, you'll see that there's like a little point. So I have to take and I have to cut that metal. And now after I cut that metal, then I have to do this bend up that way. And then after I do that bend up there, I got this little area that I have to contend with as well. Okay, I did some math. And I'm feeling pretty smart. So I had to measure 23 inches across this way. And then, and then 20 1/4 inches that way to find that angle right there. I gotta cut that section out. As you can see by my squiggly lines, I made some mistakes, but okay, so I haven't even tested this yet, so you're going to see this the first time. I'm doing both the edges. Okay. Alright, so far so good. Let's see what we got going. Alright, I'm going to take the seat out because it is just not going to fit and I don't want to ruin my seat. Okay, you missed it because I wasn't filming, but this was sitting up on top of the seat. I undid the seat to move it out of the way. Sitting up like that, and it just went, dropped right in. So, I think I'm pretty happy with that fit. That's without preforming it or anything. Oh yeah, I just had to get over that. I'm not too happy about that gap right there, but there's nothing I really could have done to. I could have bent it up a little bit further, but I'm pretty happy with that. I think, what we got going on here? Well, that's not coming back like it should. You have a pretty significant gap right there. Getting caught up. And I made just enough room so I clear the headlight switch too. All I gotta do is put this bad boy in. Okay, what I'm doing right now is I'm cleaning this little area up right now because I got to stick something, a little piece of metal in there so it gives this something to attach to. I forgot about that. Alright, so here's the order that I'm going to put the rivets in. And people would ask, why are you doing rivets? You should be welding that in. Well, here's the deal. I'm going to pull this out in a couple of years, and if I weld it in, it's going to be pretty bad to get all those welds out of there. So I'm just going to rivet it in. It's a lot easier to drill out a rivet than it is to drill out a weld. I think that looks pretty good. A few gaps I'm going to close up, but this is what I'm really happy about. This was perfect. I just did math. Boom. Skiz, why don't you just do all the drill holes at once? And the reason being is because if you do them all at the same time, you know, like drill a hole, drill a hole, drill a hole, drill a hole, drill a hole. Once you start putting rivets in, they might not line up. So I like to do them one hole at a time. Unless I know that it's completely stable, but for the beginning, I do it one at a time. hit my head on this one more time. Break freaking motor. And there we have it, freshly installed floor pan. I went ahead and I put rivets all the way to the top, obviously. I followed the rail line, goes up there, and then just in the top right here. Now, if you notice, this doesn't have any bead rolls in it. And some people wonder why these little grooves are even here. And well, these add rigidity and strength to the floor pans. And there's a workaround. If you don't have a bead roller, you can always take bar or tubing or anything and just weld it to the bottom so you don't get the tub. But there it is. Okay, earlier I talked about a piece of metal that I was going to cut out because the emergency brake or the parking brake was, whenever I pressed on it, it was getting squishy, and I knew that it was just a rusted through panel. So what I ended up doing was fabbing this little piece right here. This is where the emergency brake or the parking brake goes, and then these two little holes right here are where the parking brake actually attaches to. So alright, so this is where it's gonna go. It's gonna go right into this little section right here. So let's see how this, let's see if my holes line up. There's the plate that I put in there. It is all riveted into this right spot. The bolts are all lined up. It straddles the emergency brake. The only thing I have left to do is, you see a little daylight right in there. That is because I need to put in a little L-ish bracket of a little channel. Alright, let's try this again. So I'm going to take this metal piece right here that I just bent, and that's going to go. Okay, so I have this, and I want to cut an angle so I can bend it together and have the metal meet. But here's the deal: when I cut it, if I cut it like this and I bend it like this, this is actually going to create an overlap like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this cut back so it's an even cut. Alright, so there it is. See the two darker, thicker lines? That's where the cuts are going to be made. Here we go. All I should just be able to do is push it down like that. And it's good. And look. Alright, here it is, all cleaned up. There's that little patch that I put in to cover up that gap. That little patch over here to cover up that gap. This is the, of course, I just talked about a few seconds ago, the bracing for the emergency brake bracket. And so we should be good to go. Okay, the floor pan is done. Just got to put some primer on it, some seam sealer, and we're good to go. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and I hope you have a great day, and see you next time on Art of Momenti Garage.